The Nashville Predators currently find themselves in 4th place in the Central Division after 65 games skated. They currently have a record of 37-25-3. 77 points has the Nashville Predators, just 8 points back from 3rd place of an automatic playoff qualifying position, and only 10 points back from 1st place in the Central Division. It is the closest the Nashville Predators have been since, frankly, October to the tops of the division. The Nashville Predators have a record on the road, which is where they will continue the second of these back-to-back weekend games in Minnesota of 19-10-2. The Nashville Predators road record is only 1 win away from being tied with Dallas for tops in the entire Central Division. The Predators scored 208 goals this season. They've given up 197. That means they have a goal differential of plus 11. Now, the wild card race, of course, is of critical importance with this Nashville Predators team, but let's update you on the Central Division at this moment in time. The Dallas Stars currently find themselves in 1st place with 87 points. The Winnipeg Jets have skated in 3 fewer games and are at 85 points. Colorado Avalanche are also at 85 points. So 2 points separates 1st from 3rd, Dallas, Winnipeg, and Colorado, and they will continue with this 3-team weave until the final minutes of the season. It's almost a certainty at this point. It's been going on for quite some time. Then the Nashville Predators, the first team on the outside of the automatic playoff qualifying spot, but securely in a wild card spot at this moment in time. 4th place with 77 points, 10 points clear of the 5th place St. Louis Blues, and also the 6th place Minnesota Wild. More on them in just a second. They are 20 points clear of the 7th place Arizona Coyotes, who just fell off a cliff in February and have not regained their footing at all here in March. And Chicago Blackhawks are in last place in the Central Division because everyone seems to round out in 7 right now in their point total. The Blackhawks are 40 points behind the Nashville Predators at this moment in time in 8th and last place in the Central Division. Now, the wild card race, which of course is of significant interest to this Nashville Predators team. The Predators currently hold wild card 1 with 77 points. Wild card 1 would set up with a matchup for the Central Division winner, but of course that could change as time goes on. So right now, the Nashville Predators would find themselves in a best-of-7 series against the Central Division's Dallas Stars. The Vegas Golden Knights hold the wild card 2 spot, currently at 73 points. Calgary, the first team on the outside looking in. St. Louis, the second team on the outside looking in. Both of those teams have 67 points. So the Predators have a 10-point cushion at this moment over a playoff spot. 8 points out of an automatic spot, 10 points out of first, 10 points clear of a wild card spot. So the Nashville Predators find themselves in a rather unique position at this particular moment as we're getting close to 15 games to go in the season. The Preds are finding themselves in somewhat of a comfortable position. Now, let's talk about this Minnesota Wild team and the Nashville Predators matchup that is coming up on Sunday afternoon. For the Preds, once they wrap up this second game of back-to-back matinees on the weekend, Columbus and then Minnesota, Wednesday, so this will be the first time the Predators have had 2 days off in a while, and then they'll follow up Wednesday's game with 2 days off again as well. Great opportunity for the new additions to the Nashville Predators roster to get an opportunity to get their equipment and their stuff moved here, and also to figure out their teammates a little bit better and get the Predators a couple of practices. So the Predators, after this game in Minnesota, after the second game of back-to-backs, Wednesday in Winnipeg, that's going to be an incredibly important game. Saturday in Seattle, and then Tuesday back home against San Jose. So the schedule is lighter than it has been in quite some time. On the 21st of March, the Preds are back on the road in Florida. Circle that one as an incredibly difficult game. Maybe one of the most difficult games the Preds have left in the regular season. The Florida Panthers are just unbelievable at this moment in time. 3/23, that would be March 23rd versus the Detroit Red Wings on home ice. That'll bring out a big crowd. Now, Minnesota Wild Nashville Predators, they met 3 times already, this time being in the Central Division. So this is the 4th and final regular season meeting. Let's go all the way back to November the 30th when the teams met for the first time. It was the Minnesota Wild scoring a 6-1 victory, blowing the Nashville Predators out of their own home rink. UC Saros got pulled and took the loss. Only 11 out of 15. Lankinen, respectable in relief, 14 out of 16. Parson, the only goal. He won't be scoring that for the Nashville Predators in this one. He's in Milwaukee having some success. Gustafsson got the victory for the Minnesota Wild, 26 out of 27. It was Dewar killing the Preds in that game with a hat trick plus an assist for 4 points. Kaprizov also added a goal and assist for 2 points and knocked Alex Carrier out of the game. That has led to some bad blood between these two teams. Already a lot of frustrations between these two teams being in the Central Division. Division and competing for the middle of the Western Conference the way they are, which means they're in the wild card pack. The Nashville Predators and Minnesota Wild would meet again on January the 25th, this time in Minnesota for the first time. The Predators would score a 3-2 victory. UC Saros again would get the start, this time 22 out of 24, picking up the victory. It would be Gustafsson again getting the start and picking up the loss in this one, 26 out of 29. Forsberg, Carrier, Yossi each had a goal for the Nashville Predators in this one. Boldy and Eriksson Ek scored the goals for the Minnesota Wild. Now they would meet one more time at Bridgestone Arena. It would take place on February the 29th. The Nashville Predators would score the 6-1 victory versus the Minnesota Wild. So losing 6-1 earlier in the season on home ice and now winning 6-1. Also, there was a lot more to those circumstances. The Predators were on a lengthy, long winning streak at that point when they lost the previous time, and this time they kept the winning streak going by defeating the Minnesota Wild. So UC Saros picks up the victory, and this time third start. He goes 2-1 against the Minnesota Wild in the regular season series so far to this point. 33 out of 34 were his numbers in that game. The Preds had 6 different goal scorers in that one. Forsberg was a part of that list. Gustafsson got the start again, took the loss against the Preds, so he's 1-2 against the Predators this season, 25 out of 31. The Preds overall on the season, aside from that highly embarrassing moment back in November, 2-1 on the season. They picked up 4 out of 6 total points and outscored the Minnesota Wild 10-9. The Wild being in 6th place in the Central Division. They have skated in 64 games. They have a record of 30, 27, and 7. They have 67 points. They are 10 points behind the Nashville Predators, and this is a moment where the Nashville Predators could honestly step on Minnesota's hopes and dreams and desires of being a part of this wild card chase pack for much longer, because let's face it, if you fall 12 points behind the Nashville Predators, it's going to be tough to make that up over the last couple of weeks of the season. For the Minnesota Wild on home ice, they have a winning record, 15-12-4. They've scored 200 goals in the season. They've given up 212. That's a goal differential of -12. In their most recent stretch of action, we go back to February the 29th when they fell to the Nashville Predators on home ice 6-1. Then we go to March the 2nd to a 3-1 loss at the St. Louis Blues on the 3rd of March, a 4-3 win versus the San Jose Sharks on the 7th of March was a 5-2 win at the Arizona Coyotes, and most recently on the 8th of March, a 2-1 overtime loss at Colorado. Gustafsson took the loss 38 out of 40, so the Minnesota Wild played on Friday night, had an opportunity to travel home and await the Nashville Predators on a Sunday matinee game, while the Nashville Predators went into Columbus for a Saturday matinee and then lose an hour of time in daylight savings, and then will face off against the Wild in Minnesota in another matinee game. Now, the matchup in the rankings between these two teams, the goals for category, Minnesota's at 3.08. They're 19th overall in the NHL. The Predators are 3.17 goals per game. That's 14th best in the league. In the goals against category, 3.28 for Minnesota's 23rd. The Predators rated 16th, giving up 3.03 per game. In the shots for category, Nashville is generating 31.3 shots on net per game. That's 12th best in the NHL. 30 shots even for Minnesota is 20th. Shots against, 30.3 for Nashville is 20th. Shots against for Minnesota, 30.2 is 19th. So teams nearly identical in that particular statistical metric. In the special teams categories, the Nashville Predators power play is 18th rated in the NHL, converting at 19.9%, or raw data, 44 out of 221 opportunities. Minnesota Wild are 2 spots better in the power play, 16th overall rated, 21.6 is their conversion rate, 48 out of 222 opportunities. So again, very, very similar in those numbers in this particular category. When it comes to the penalty kill, the Predators have a better kill rate, 77%, 24th rated, but neither of these teams have the best penalty kill. 46 power play goals against for the Nashville Predators. It's a really high number, but it is not nearly or anywhere near as high as Minnesota's 56 power play goals against. That is 29th rated penalty kill in the league, and their kill rate is 74.4%. Let's talk about the individual statistics leaders, a potential goaltending matchup for this game. When it comes to the Nashville Predators, updated statistics after the game in Columbus, Philip Forsberg, 33 goals and 34 assists for 67 points. The captain, Roman Josi, is at 15 goals and 47 assists for 62 points. Gus Nyquist, 17 and 39 for 56, getting close to setting career highs in assists and also in points. O'Reilly's at 23 goals and 32 assists for 55 points. And Tommy Novak, all he does is make plays for 13 goals, 23 assists now, and 36 points overall on the season. Kaprizov has really driven the Nashville Predators nuts, as he's driven a lot of teams nuts. He's got 30 goals on the season. Of course, that's going to make some people mad. Plus 38 assists for 68 points, but he has really gotten under the skin of this Nashville Predators team ever since the hit on Alex Carey back on November the 30th. The Preds have certainly gone out of their way to try to make Kaprizov pay ever since we saw a lot of that back on February the 29th. So something to watch out for as we're previewing this game and these two teams. Watch out for the Nashville Predators trying to exact yet a little bit more revenge on Kaprizov for that hit earlier in the season. Eric Sinek always plays very well against the Nashville Predators. He's sitting on 29 goals and 29 assists for 58 points. Matt Zuccarello, another player who typically does good against the Nashville Predators, 11 and 42 for 53. Boldy's got at least one goal against the Preds this season. He got 23 overall in the season, plus 26 assists for 49 points. And Fabers at 6 and 31 for 37 in net. Gustafsson for Minnesota is 17, 15 and 2 and 8, 9, 4 save percentage, 3.26 goals against average. He's 1 and 2 against the Nashville Predators this season. UC Saros going to get the start on the second day of back-to-backs after Kevin Lankinen got the start in Columbus. Saros' numbers are 27, 21 and 3 is his record on the season. 907 save percentage, 2.83 goals against average with 2 shutouts. Kevin Lankinen's updated statistics are 9, 4 and 0 on the record, 8, 9, 7 on the save percentage, 3.09 on the goals against average. Now, listen, it is of critical importance that the Nashville Predators go into Minnesota and take care of their business, win the season series 3-1 against a team that is below them in the standings. It is the second day of back-to-back, but the Nashville Predators honestly didn't exert the most effort against the Columbus Blue Jackets. So the Predators should have an ability after rolling all of 4 lines and possibly having a couple of other fresh players to bring into the lineup. Glass sat out the most recent game as a healthy scratch. He got banged up pretty hard in the previous game, though, and I don't think that was necessarily a performance-based. I think that was more of it's getting to that time in the season where guys are going to need days off. So the Preds, we'll see what the rotation they make. We know that Saros will go in net, but the Nashville Predators need to take care of business against the Minnesota Wild, win the season series, and sweep this weekend series, putting all of the more distance between themselves and the teams below them in this wild card chase. That's going to do it for the preview. That's got you all set for the 4th regular season meeting between this Nashville Predators team and this Minnesota Wild team. Last time, the Preds went into Minnesota 3-2 victory back on January 25th. We got to get to the Rebirth Sports full game recap. It's coming up next right here on the Renegades of Puck podcast.